Hey everybody, and welcome back to more Soul Reaver. Today we are going to complete a short mission to continue the game. We're going to interact with another brother. You should know by now how that goes. And then we're going to do some collecting, which will take more than half the video. So if you're only interested in story progression, you're getting that first. And I still really like the lighting effect on these walls. It's really cool, especially for its time. Go ahead and use kinesis there.
Once a sanctuary against the vampire menace, this abbey has been drowned by the deluge spilling from this wounded land. Your brother Rahab and his brood, devastated even by the feeble rays of Nosgoth's sun, overcame their vulnerability to water and retreated from the surface. Now they haunt these ruins and glide in the darkness of its stagnant depths.
Who would drown Abby? That's just rude. Okay, that's probably beyond rude. Jump and glide. I would save here. That way, if you screw up any of these jumps, you can just restart and you don't have to listen to that cutscene again. These platforms look a little higher than they were in the PS1 version. Maybe it's just that the water's clearer, so I can see more of them. And this is another area that should not be this dark. This all has to do with the day-night cycle they added to this remaster, which I don't love. It does give this area a different look. Of course, the reshade I have on helps. Oh, these guys. I was trying to kinesis him, but instead, the tables were turned, which sucks. Get over here. I did find a way to turn off the day-night cycle, so in the future that won't be an issue. Yeah, screw you, we're leaving. The bad thing is most of the areas where it actually has an effect, we've already been there, so it doesn't really matter at this point. Oh, this is cool. Use some magic here. What's gonna happen? Booyakasha! Ha ha! That is awesome. I think I have done that a couple of times, but doing that never stops being fun. Screw you. Dude, you're a dick. And what the Elder God was talking about really is true. Those guys glide in the water. It's actually really cool. You might see that when we do some... Well, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but you might see it later. I don't think you will. And I'm fighting this guy here because I'm trying to get enough health back to get the Reaver. Not gonna happen, but I'm trying. Screw you, snake guy. I do like the sounds they make. Those are pretty cool. I'm a fan. Yeah, this area is actually really short, but I imagine that's by design because this area is also really annoying. It's got several annoying platforming segments. So I would have entered the Spectral Realm here just to get my Reaver back anyways, but I had to because this took me several tries. Somehow I think I did worse at these platforming segments this playthrough than I did on my original playthrough. And here I'm just looking, working up the courage. This is kind of an iffy jump. When you land, you want to move to the right away. Quick. There you go. You do not want this thing knocking you into the water. Although I'm pretty sure I just knocked him into the water, so hey. Fuck that guy, I guess. That won't kill these guys, but at least it gets him out of my way. I'm sure he just respawns over here anyways. I will unfortunately have to come back here. So that'll be interesting to see. There is a health power up in here. Although I don't think I have to go this far, so it's okay. Screw you. But as I was saying earlier, they do glide in the water and it is actually really cool. And I got this torch just to do something different. Burn! Haha! And we need to go into the spectral realm here. You would be forced into it anyways when you hit the water, but I think you lose health if you get forced into the spectral realm. Damn it, let me up. That platform is hard for me to see. So we're trying to get to this platform here. If you mess up and have to come back, sometimes an enemy will spawn right by this portal, so be careful. Fortunately, it's not there this time. Nice shot of Raziel's ass, because that's what we want to see. Not the stuff that I can't have on YouTube anymore. Yeah, this is annoying. We'll get there eventually. There we go. Also, as long as you don't mess up this jump, there's a spear. Pick that up. It will be handy. So there are two ways of doing this that I found work. One is the way I'm going to do this, which is I use a diagonal jump and I aim for those light pillars. And since I can see that, I backtrack every time over here so that I have something I can see to aim for. You can also hug the wall and do this. These tips are for people who have trouble just aiming for the wooden beams, like me. And that reflective surface of the water is really cool, especially when you consider this was a PS1 game originally. I remember noticing that on my original playthrough on the PS1. It's really cool. But you can hug the wall, which will help you avoid falling. I don't demonstrate that, but that is something you can do. Booyakasha! Screw you. That was easily my best attempt at dealing with those guys. I was hoping to lock on, but no, not happening. There we go. Raziel, he's making a mess of this place. So that wooden beam platforming segment, I never had a problem. This one I struggled with. Jump up until Raziel reaches his highest point in the high jump, and then glide. Or do the hug the wall thing I was talking about before, which I never demonstrate. You just face the wall, and then jump and glide. And I feel like that gives you more control. But at the time when I was playing this, I had not looked at my old video, so I didn't know to do that. So this area would be a lot lighter if it weren't nighttime. And I'm doing the crawl here because that also prevents you from falling. For some reason, whether you sneak or crawl, if you're holding the button down, sometimes it doesn't matter. He'll just go out of that animation. And he will slip and fall off of platforms. I experienced that a lot. Which is not what you want from a platformer. And according to a friend of mine, apparently the old Tomb Raiders do that too. I don't remember that, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. I'd have to watch my Tomb Raider playthrough, which cannot be posted on YouTube. That cannot happen. Unless I want to spend a lot of time blurring, which I might do. Because I feel like it would be a waste to just leave that on Rumble. I hate the camera on these spiral staircases. Not great. Right, so this room. You can skip some of these platforms if you're good at this. I am not, so I'm going to take this as cautiously as I can. So what I'm doing here is I'm holding down the crouch button the entire time, even when I jump. That seems to prevent the short jump that I sometimes get from him, where he doesn't seem to want to do the long jump. And you're about to see an example of what I'm about to talk about. Sometimes he will go out of the crouch animation. And that was the hardest jump for me during this section. And get ready for a boss fight.
Rahab, you have adapted well to your environment, for one so maladjusted.
Do not mock me, Raziel. You of all of us should respect the power bestowed by a limitation overcome. Kain said you would come.
You speak with the murderer?
You would do well to mind your blasphemous tongue.
What more did he tell you?
That you would destroy me.
I will indeed. But tell me, before I tear your soul from its moorings, do you know what we were before Kain spawned us?
Human.
Seraphan, Rahab, the antithesis of all we ever believed.
Does it matter? We were lost. He saved us.
Saved us? From what?
From ourselves.
Okay, so this boss fight is pretty easy. Just try to not get knocked into the water. You need to kinesis these windows to break them. I said it in the previous video, but I much prefer this kinesis without the Reaver. It's easier for me to aim that way. Now this camera is annoying. It doesn't have a full 360 range of motion, so it's kind of awkward to try to aim. And I get why it doesn't have that, but it would be a lot easier if it did. My original playthrough, this was pretty easy for me to do. It was still not bad, but I did get knocked into the water once. And I'm also going to cut all my struggling with the camera because it is pretty ass in this game. But that's all you're doing is knocking out these things. If you get knocked into the water, you will see the lighting effects in the spectral realm, which is interesting.
Infused with Rahab's soul, you have overcome your former vulnerability to water's touch. Immersion in water will no longer dissolve your physical body, enabling you to swim to areas heretofore beyond your reach.
So if you get knocked into the water, of course, you go into the spectral realm. There will be a wraith there, and they respawn. So if you take a while with that platforming segment like I did, then they respawn, which is annoying. Much like swimming in this game, and the camera when you're trying to swim. Not great. Again, not a fan. But the boss himself is actually not bad. To be fair, most of the bosses in this game are not bad. Kain can be a bit annoying, but he's not that bad. But the rest have this puzzle aspect that I really like. Kain is a dick, but he's always been a dick. He's just more fun to play as than to fight against.
Beyond the maelstrom of the abyss, a subterranean tunnel leads northward to the clan territory of your brother Dumas. Endowed with Rahab's soul, you may swim to gain entry where your progress was previously impeded.
So that's what we're going to do next time. For now, we're going to do some collecting. So this area is in that same area where I was jumping across those wooden beams. That window is almost directly across the room from that portal where you would enter the spectral realm. Across the room and maybe a little to the right. So this is the one area you might see these creatures gliding, but I don't show it off very well. I'm too busy struggling with the camera and struggling with the swimming in this game. Thank the metal gods, there's only one mandatory swimming segment, and I don't think you need to go underwater to do it. You swim more for extras than anything else. And what we're going to get is interesting and definitely useful if you can find an open flame. So break that, and we are good to go. So this is the first of several Reaver forges we will find in the Legacy of Kain series. This is the only one in this game, but we will see a few in Soul Reaver 2 and then more in Defiance.
This elemental forge is tuned to the Soul Reaver's energy. Once baptized in this primordial flame, the blade may be imbued with fire at any future time.
And it's pretty dope. It can one-shot any regular vampire. It dissolves when you go into water, but if you see any flames, you can use those flames to light it. Which is cool. This room we were in very briefly in video 2. I ran through here really fast because there were vampires I didn't want to deal with. It's the first actual room we go in video 2 after jumping across the water. I don't show the rest of these, but I wanted to show this one because we get a description of what we're getting.
With this artifact, your glyph energy capacity is increased.
Awesome. So I have 3 or 4 of these, which is pretty dope. It is interesting that Rahab knew that Raziel was going to kill him, but he still challenged him. And it does show that Kain knew more about what's going on. Now, some of that gets changed because this game wasn't finished, but those storylines do get adapted in Soul Reaver 2 and Defiance, which we will get to eventually. Yeah, you guys won't have to watch too much of me swimming in the series. Not sure what we're going to do for Soul Reaver 2 because there is more swimming in that. Screw you. I don't know why I tried fighting this guy instead of running from him. Now you can grab him and throw him off the ledge and he will probably go into water, which is cool. And I'm going to go down and get his soul, but I'll cut that so you don't have to watch that. Also, this area, there will be some moments that are silent. That's because the game's librarian was helping me look for some of these collectibles. Some of these moments I did put some audio in from moments in the video where I was just walking around. So I tried to fill it out as much as I could, but there will be little moments where it's quiet. And that skull is Nutraptor's area. We went there in Blood Omen. Obviously it looks completely different. It's much smaller now and in a much bigger state of disrepair. Still, it's a nice touch they added it into this game. And there will be a lot of jump cuts since now we're just on collectibles. So if you are looking for story elements, we've got everything we're getting this video. We're going for a gate room right now. Not that I'm going to need it because there is a magic ability you can get in here, but I'm not going for it because it's annoying to get and it's useless. And this camera is annoying. Not a fan. But we get a gate room. And I would like to unlock all the gate rooms, and I will. The last one, which is in Terrell's area, I'm not sure if I'm going for because I don't really want to go there because we have no need to go there. And these eye sockets, Kain could look out of them in Blood Omen. At one point he says taint. And I remember laughing about that in Blood Omen. So it is cool they reused this area. It's just a shame that it's scaled back so much and it's just an optional area. But I do show a fair bit of this area, unlike the next area we're going for. As well as Terrell's area, which I don't show at all. Not sure what's going on with those guys down there, but who cares? Okay. So here is one of the more annoying jumps that I've encountered in this game. Get me some souls. There it is right there. We got to jump and glide to this thing. It is easy to miss. Once you get up there, crab walk. Just makes life easier. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that jump. I wonder if this area wasn't play tested and that's why it's an optional area. As these jumps are also kind of awkward to get. Especially that first one. Apparently you can make this jump a lot easier than I did, but it doesn't matter, we made it. And the whole reason I'm showing this off, one, because it's an area from Blood Omen, two, we're gonna get a health upgrade piece. Plus I get an excuse to have more of the Necropolis theme, which is awesome. And this one was a lot of trouble for me to get on my original playthrough. I eventually got it, but it was a lot more difficult to get. So I know the rest of this video is going to be very choppy, but I did the best I could. Again, this is just extra stuff. You don't have to do this. And contrary to what I was saying in a previous video, it's not that necessary to max out your health. I'm going to do it. At the very least, I wanted the next level health because I am a bit concerned about the next boss we're going to deal with. And again, I should not have engaged this dude in combat. Why I did that, I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just move around. I wanted to say move forward, but this area is kind of windy. And going back to maxing out your health, technically you don't have to max out your health, but it makes the final boss a lot easier to deal with, which I will talk about in the final video. And screw this guy, screw you, and the horse you rode in on. Wait, do they have horses in this universe? Screw him and the ground he dug out from under? I do think it's cool they brought back Nutraptor's area. It would have been kind of cool to see them reuse other areas from Blood Omen, since we're in the distant future, just to see what became of all these areas. We do get the pillars as well, of course. And they look completely different. So what you need to find is this block to telekinesis. It took me a while to do this, but I got there eventually. And then you got to find this area to jump to. I miss the climbing wall. Fortunately, it's the same climbing wall that I showed earlier. The one that leads to, as you can see there, the gate room. So it's a lot easier to get to than I thought it was, which is nice. So all is not lost if you mess up the jump like I did. And I was very thankful for that because I did not want to go through all that platforming again. I rage quit this area because of that awkward jump I talked about earlier. And pretty convinced I was going to use cheats at that point. I shouldn't need to though. All right, there's another health piece. And the eagle-eyed viewer might notice that the health upgrading might look a little different. That's because I'm pretty sure I got this one before the piece that we just saw. This is in front of that entrance to the cathedral where I was bitching about how dark it is with this night mode. You can find it on that ledge. You just need to go into the water, look for a cave, go through. Everything's really dark because it's night and it's water. And I will be cutting eventually till when I find where I'm going. And then we will move on. It's not hard to get, it's just annoying when you can't see what you're doing. And then you look for a climbing wall. And you're good to go. Sweet. So now we should be caught up on the pieces that I have. And this area we remember from the start of the game. However, there's a path we can now take. Because we can swim, we can come this way. This will lead to the human city, the last bastion of safety and hope for the human race in this cruel and tormented world. Eventually I say screw it and go spectral. It's just easier for me than swimming and easier for everybody else to watch. Now this area is going to be very cut up. I'm not going to show how to get anywhere. There is a magic bar increase in here. I think I have 4 of them, actually. I got a couple of these after recording all this footage. And I didn't show me getting that. Again, this is not a walkthrough. You need to go to this door. I exited the spectral realm. There's a portal to the left of that door if you go all the way down. And you could see it briefly. Since I haven't killed any of these people, they worship Raziel, which is pretty interesting. And we got a block puzzle here. It's very short. We're just creating a ladder. There's a much more elaborate one of those we're going to get next video, which should be fun. Looking forward to doing that again. Oh, wait, I'm not. Not at all. There are a couple of unique lines of dialogue from Raziel.
The human citadel, its towering walls and deep moats engineered to keep Nosgoth's vampire plague at bay.
So you just need to jump and glide over here. Don't fall down. It will be annoying.
Though the city was well fortified against vampires, its human architects hadn't considered a breach by a creature such as myself.
So basically what I want to do is show the 3 health pickups in this area. So I will have jump cuts until I find them. Hey, how awesome would it be to be friends with the guy who voices Raziel? This is a body of water you jump into and then you kinesis this thing. And then you swim through a sewer pipe. It's annoying, but go for it. And then have him guest commentate on a Let's Play. And then have him do Raziel voice and make him say funny things. That could be pretty awesome. I would like to have had that happen. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can look at, but the main point of interest is the pickups. This area was supposed to be more significant in the game before it became just an extra area. There was a female vampire you were going to fight in here as a boss. We could not have climbed on this without the swimming ability. I'm not sure what other plans were made for this area, but I do know of that. And here's the gate room. I'm not going to need it because I already have the health pickups and the magic increase. There is a magic ability you can get here, but it only stuns enemies. And I already have one of those, so it's not really that useful. So I won't be going for it. So once you make your way here, you use that lever and that will drain some water so we can go down there. Granted, we can swim, but you can't do what we need to do without the water being gone.
My brain is literally melting.
Go through here. For some reason, there's a vampire down here. I'm not sure why. And I also like that since I haven't killed any humans, this is mostly a peaceful area except for this asshole. If you do the puzzle that gives you that magic ability, I think there might be enemies in there. I can't remember. But again, I don't find that ability to be useful, so I don't care. This puzzle's not too difficult. It can be annoying. Again, we're just trying to build a ladder. But you can screw it up. So if you do what I do, then you're fine. Just be sure you have a block where you can stand to maneuver the blocks once they're up here. And as long as you do that, you're okay. And then, of course, we need to go into the spectral realm here. Yeah, I was planning on being pretty silent during these collectible runs, but that didn't happen. I'm also drinking some apple cider. For those of you who are also in the States, proper apple cider has alcohol. I've kind of got bored of whiskey and Coke. Something of note here, you can do this all in the spectral realm. There is a wraith you'll have to deal with. But you can do this in the spectral realm, which could save some time. You could just phase right through those bars. Which is what I should have done, but oh well. Whatever. I'm going to show you how to do this normally, and I'm pretty sure you can figure out how to do this in the spectral realm if you want to. It's fine. So I might have one other upgrade by the time we start the next video. There's a fire magic that I would like to get, but I'm not going to go through the process of showing that. So I may have that next video. Either way, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with more Soul Reaver.